Hello and welcome to Big Deal. Now, today our focus is on the financial inclusion of women to untap the potential that this particular pocket of the demography presents over time. Now, for which, remember that many organizations currently are coming together to empower women and also make them a big force for credit offtake and also customers of financial services products in the country. Let me welcome on the show experts who have their skin in the game. Let me welcome on CNBC TV18 Kalpana Ajayan of Women's World Banking, Jayshree Vyas of Shri Mahila Seva Sehkari Bank and Manish Bhatia of Lending Cart. Gentlemen, ladies, thank you so much for joining us on CNBC TV18. Now, since Kalpana is right here in the studio with me, let me pose this question. What is your organization doing? It's a non-profit organization. So what is the kind of potential that you're working on? And so far, what has been the success?
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here today, Nisha. Financial inclusion, of course, is a subject that's very, very close to our heart. And we believe that financial inclusion really is the starting point. And what we eventually want to do is for women's empowerment. That's really what we at Women's World Banking aim for. In terms of what we do, the work that we do, the work that rests broadly on 5 pillars. It's on product design, what we call a unique women-centered product design. We have, and that is so that financial service providers actually see the value in investing in the women. So that's the the women-centered design part of it. The second piece that we do a lot of work on is actually around the MSME space, how to ensure access to the women that desperately need this credit. The third piece is around the learning and development, which we do with a very unique program for regulators. How do we bring gender sensitization? How do we bring that angle with regulators? And we have a program of leadership also for regulators, and we have regular participation even from, it's a global program, and we have Indian regulators coming as well. We have a small fund which invests in women-run and women-centered enterprise. And the last piece, of course, is that we can't do this all alone. We need everybody to participate. And so a lot of work is done on insights that we get from research, which then pushes the fulcrum on the advocacy piece, and the thought leadership piece on women and financial inclusion. In India, it's savings-led, where we do the work with public sector banks, large public sector banks. We do the work on the credit-led piece with people like SIDBI, who are the apex players in this area. And the third piece, again, is on fintech and advocacy. People like Manish, who's here in the panel with Seva Bank, and equally with organizations like Reserve Bank of India, Innovation Hub, etc.
And Bank of Baroda also, you have
it's
a tie-up.
It's a very big tie-up.
Okay, so many aspects which I'm very interested in knowing more about, Kalpana. But let me first take it to Jayshree, who's joining us from Ahmedabad. So Jayshree, one of the pioneers when it comes to women-centric and especially empowering women from the lower strata when it comes to self-employment. Tell us about your success rate so far when it comes to the cooperative bank, Seva Bank, and also what is the corpus that you're dealing with currently?
Yeah, thank you very much for this. Yeah, as you know, it's a kind of a 4 decades organization that, of course, it was Seva, Self-Employed Women's Association, which was organizing all women workers in the informal sector and who are economically active. But what they were not getting was that they did not have any kind of, informal kind of access to banks at that time. I'm talking about 70s. And what was happening was that they had to borrow from a very money lenders at very high rate of interest. They didn't have their own tools. They were using rent for this and giving lots of capital to interest to all the money lenders. And that was the time when these women decided that we should start our own bank. And that's how these 4,000 self-employed women, they distributed their 10 rupees per everyone. And we started a bank, cooperative bank for these women, especially for these women. So that was the first thing. And at that time, we didn't know, we didn't have any blueprint and anything else. But what we understood was that we wanted to help these women to come out of the debts, higher debts, and we also wanted to help them to help them to increase their whatever tools and other activities which they were doing. And this was the time, I would say, that we also helped them to save anyway 5 rupees, 10 rupees, but they were also started saving in formal sector. So this was something which I thought at that time, even the financial inclusion concept was not there. But I think this was the concept which we started early in the 70s. But then we slowly found that it is not that only they want credit and saving, but we were looking at the life cycle needs, and then in their family also they didn't have any bank. So for the whole family, if they wanted to have have kind of life cycle needs kind of thing, like education of children, there might be sickness in the family, they might want to go and do something more other work. So that didn't have it. So this is what we started that, okay, there should be, of course, there should be saving, but different types of products and savings. Of course, we should also bring in insurance, and we should also bring in pension. Housing was also very important. So we brought all these products into this. And this is what something, women also started, doing all kind of things.
All right. So Jayshree, how big is your corpus now? Of course, you started a few decades back. How big is your corpus now?
Yeah, it's around 700 crores. And this is because it's not that, the turnover is always high, but women are ready, as they are saving and then withdrawing, saving and withdrawing. That's something which we have always seen. So even the first woman has given, maybe we have given 16 loans to this women, but still, they're also the same thing. Smaller one, then it's a little bigger, little bigger.
Right.
So, I think our turnover is more, but our, corpus is 700.
All right. So Jayshree,
but this is all.
Yeah, that 700 crores is not a small, sum by all means, because you're just concentrated in one state, and we are talking about just one region. Now, Manish, you heard the two ladies talk about their experiences, but there is business to be made from this particular demography, really coming in, getting empowered, and credit offtake being done. How are new age lending companies like yourself, who's focused at MSME, really looking at this and trying to untap the potential from this aspect?
Sure. First of all, Nisha, thanks for having me on this program. So overall, if I just step back a little bit, right, and from a foundational standpoint, there are these three: Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, and mobile has actually led to over 400 million underserved Indians to actually get included in the financial ecosystem. Now, out of which obviously there's a big portion of that that's actually going to women. Now, if I look at MSMEs, right, out of the 63 million MSMEs in India, about 20% of them are registered to women entrepreneurs. And, if I look at day-to-day business as usual, about 5 to 8% of them actually come through the door. So there's a huge gap between, the potential, which is the market opportunity, to versus, how many actually women find help or find the right product for themselves, and then sort of, come to the foray. So overall, what Lending Cart essentially is doing is, they're building a huge, what we call distribution engine. And this distribution engine is basically, completely digital. Through either direct marketing or through channel partnerships or through, a DSA channel, which is online to offline for us. What we do is we basically expose these different products to women, underserved segment, so that they could actually find us and, take the working capital loan that they actually deserve.
Right. So Manish spoke about the platform. But Kalpana, clearly this platform is for the people who already know are educated. But I'm sure your organization is doing a lot to reach out to women who may have the need, but do not have the understanding as well as the educational, financial education. How is that traction building, and what have you seen through your various studies as well as experiences?
It's a very pertinent point, Nisha. Absolutely. If there is one big barrier, in front of women when it comes to financial inclusion, I would say yes, mobile phone ownership and internet, access of internet. Those, of course, are barriers. Those are very real barriers. But even if I do have, and if I'm somebody from a lower middle income category, and I do have a phone and I do have internet, I have huge barriers, which actually come in the way of, there's a trust issue. I don't trust this. I mean, why would I want to do transaction with somebody that I don't know, I don't see, etc., etc. Second, this is just the means. I mean, the research when we did that in the urban markets, in 3 urban markets and rural market with Bank of Baroda in the interiors of Uttar Pradesh, revealed very, very clearly some of the issues that she felt was very real for her. She felt that the banks were not for her. Bank is for rich people. Me with my small money, with my small amount.
It could be intimidating. So what is the solution to that? And you spoke about banking correspondence.
Exactly.
You've done a lot of work on that.
Absolutely. So we said, okay, bank branches may be intimidating, which is precisely why there are banking correspondents. But really, was there gender sensitization with the banking correspondents? Not so much. So that's where people like us really had to kind of step in and work with the banking correspondents.
Right.
There was gender sensitization training for the banking correspondents, relationship building skills as well.
Of course.
Because the minute then they get comfortable, then not just with the savings is just the first step. There are far more appropriate resilience
then
products.
Much wider range of products can be really looked into, and that can be used. So very pertinent point there by Kalpana, and the beginning is from the financial literacy, the education on what is on the anvil, and that also comes in with gender sensitization of the entire banking and financial services space, and that is a very important takeaway from this conversation. But we'll slip into a short breather. We'll come back and discuss more about how to tap into the potential of this particular demography, which can really result in a lot more circulation of the financial services products as well as credit offtake. Stay tuned to Big Deal.